Are you an entrepreneur with an important message and an impact that you need to make on the world, but you're waiting for permission to start? This video is for you. The majority of our childhood is judged on how well we can memorize facts and pass tests. The majority of adulthood is spent worrying about bills, tolerating office politics, smiling at your boss through gritted teeth because he's the one that signs the checks. These are the things we're taught to do just because that's the way it is. Those are just the rules. But what if we changed that narrative and decided that we get to make the rules? That you don't have to break your back working to make a living. What if I told you that you don't even have to work 40 hours a week and you can make even more than you thought possible and still work less when you're doing something that truly serves you and others? To believe that you're stuck in your 9-to-5 job, stuck in the city you live in, whatever the circumstances are, is a choice you are making. And most people think that they have to wait until they're ready to finally move forward. So then they get stuck in that cycle. And you'd think that not moving forward is leaving you in the same place, but the more you stay still, the more you actually are moving backwards because of the time you're wasting and the opportunities you're missing by thinking that you need to play by the rules. And the thing is, you probably don't even realize it. Are you waiting for someone to say, "You've played by the rules long enough, now here's your opportunity"? Well, I have news for you. It's not those who play by the rules who break out and find their success. Here's how to stop waiting for permission so you can be successful.
The world has changed dramatically in the last decade. Opportunities that once required gatekeepers, credentials, and years of waiting now sit just one internet connection away. Yet millions of people are still frozen, waiting for permission that may never come. They're waiting for someone to validate them, to tell them they're ready, to give them the green light. This is the story of why you should stop waiting and start creating your own path right now. Defining the permission trap. The permission trap is simple but powerful. It's a psychological barrier where individuals convince themselves they need something external before they can begin. They believe they need a degree, a certification, a certain amount of money in the bank, or approval from someone they consider an authority. This mindset has roots in how society was structured for generations. Jobs required credentials. Success meant climbing a predetermined ladder. You worked for decades at a company, did what you were told, and eventually, maybe, you'd reach a position of influence or financial stability. But this is no longer how the world works. The gatekeepers have lost much of their power. Someone didn't need permission from a television network to become a content creator. They didn't need a record label to become a musician. They didn't need a publisher to become an author. The tools are available to everyone. The barriers to entry have collapsed. Yet the permission mindset lingers because it's so deeply ingrained. People wait for the perfect moment, the perfect qualifications, the perfect circumstances. And they wait, sometimes for years, sometimes for their entire lives. Understanding why permission feels necessary. There are legitimate reasons why the permission mindset exists. Uncertainty feels risky. Starting something without validation feels like stepping off a cliff in the dark. The brain naturally seeks reassurance before taking bold action. This is called the change cycle. It's a psychological process that happens whenever someone attempts something that contradicts their current identity. First, there's discontentment with the current situation. Then comes a breaking point where staying the same becomes unbearable. Someone declares they're going to make a change. But then fear takes over. The brain floods with questions about finances, about whether they're truly capable, about what others will think. And here's the insidious part. The brain actually blocks out memories of how unhappy they were before. The current situation starts looking less terrible. Reasons not to proceed multiply, and most people backtrack. They return to their original position and tell themselves they'll try again someday. Self-doubt compounds this problem. When someone doesn't have external validation, their own mind becomes their harshest critic. Imposter syndrome whispers that they're not qualified enough, experienced enough, or smart enough. They compare themselves to others who appear more accomplished, forgetting that those people also started somewhere. They forget that overnight success takes years, that visible confidence masks hidden fears, and that everyone feels afraid when beginning something new. The psychology of taking action without permission. Here's a truth that most people discover too late. Action creates momentum. The discomfort of beginning is real, but it's usually less intense than anticipated. Once someone starts moving toward their goal, even with imperfect effort, real learning begins. Real growth happens. Real results follow. Entrepreneurs and successful individuals across industries report the same pattern. When they finally took action despite their fears and doubts, they discovered two critical things. First, the imagined catastrophe rarely happens. The worst-case scenarios that played in their minds proved to be overblown or unlikely. Second, they learned more from actually doing the work than from any amount of planning or waiting. They discovered capabilities they didn't know they had. They found resources they weren't aware existed. They connected with people who could help them. The brain is a prediction machine, and it's exceptionally bad at predicting the future. It focuses on threats and problems. This protective mechanism kept our ancestors alive in dangerous environments. But in modern times, this same mechanism prevents people from pursuing their dreams. The unknown feels dangerous even when it's simply unfamiliar. Breaking free from permission, the path forward starts with acknowledging the fear while refusing to let it paralyze you. Write down the specific fears. Examine them closely. Ask whether they're based on facts or assumptions. Often, people discover that their fears are mostly imaginary. The fear of people judging them is usually exaggerated. The fear of financial ruin often ignores the fact that they can adjust course if needed. The fear of failure ignores that failure teaches lessons that success never could. Next, start small. People often reject the permission mindset, but then create a new trap, waiting until they can do everything perfectly. The solution is to take one small step forward. Just one. Send that email. Post that content. Ask that question. Make that phone call. The size of the action matters less than the fact of action itself. Small steps accumulate. They create evidence that movement is possible. Each completed step makes the next step easier. Build a supportive environment around yourself. Mentors and peers who've already done what you're attempting become invaluable. They've walked the same path. They know the doubts you're experiencing because they experienced them too. Equally important is distancing yourself from voices that reinforce the permission mindset, whether those are people or content that constantly emphasizes your inadequacy. Creating your own path. The digital age has demolished the excuse that you need permission to pursue your dream. A website, an email list, a basic understanding of how to reach your audience directly. These tools are free or inexpensive. They exist right now. The gatekeepers that once controlled access to audiences have been bypassed entirely. You can go directly to people who want to hear from you. This shift is profound. For decades, the path to success looked like this. Work hard, gain experience, hope someone important notices you, and then maybe you'll get your opportunity. Today, the path looks different. Build something. Share it. Let people see your work. If it resonates, it grows. There's no waiting for approval. There's no committee deciding whether you deserve your chance. The resources needed to start are smaller than most people believe. They're often free. What's required instead is clarity about what you actually want to create. Not what someone else created or what you think you should create. What specifically drives you? What problem are you uniquely positioned to solve? What would you build even if no one paid you to do it? Answers to these questions matter more than credentials ever could. Define success on your own terms before beginning. Success for one person might mean building a large, scalable business with a massive audience. For someone else, it might mean serving a small community, maintaining financial independence, and having control over their schedule. Neither definition is better, but without knowing which one appeals to you, it's easy to get lost in other people's definitions of success. The real cost of waiting. The biggest regret isn't failure. Studies show that people who attempt something and fail rarely regret the attempt. They regret the years spent not attempting. They regret the opportunities they missed because they were waiting for permission. They regret the skills they never developed. They regret the relationships they never formed. They regret the person they could have become. Waiting for permission is essentially waiting for someone else to validate your existence or your worth. But that validation, if it ever comes, will be shallow. True confidence comes from taking action despite uncertainty. It comes from failing, adjusting, and trying again. It comes from learning that you're more capable than you believed. The choice before you this moment contains a fork in the road. One path leads back to waiting, back to wishing and planning and somedayness, back to the safety of inaction and the comfort of excuses. The other path is uncertain. It feels risky. It requires accepting that you won't have all the answers before beginning. It requires moving forward despite fear, doubt, and the persistent voice in your head, questioning whether you're ready. You will never feel completely ready. That feeling doesn't come before action. It comes after you've started, after you've built something, after you've learned from your mistakes. The only permission you need is the permission you give yourself right now. Stop waiting for someone to call your name. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for certainty. Begin today. Begin imperfectly. Begin scared if you must. But begin. Your path is waiting. You just have to be brave enough to create it.